Hey everyone, just another video here. This video we're going to go through this site plan for the studio assignment, and obviously this is done geared towards this particular studio, but I think this information is applicable for most projects. And so I want to walk you through a bit of my process in setting this up, and we're going to probably do a few other videos kind of modeling some other stuff along the way. And so this is a project. This site is located at 105 Wingold Avenue in Toronto. Again, this is in some respects a fictitious site, so just keep that in mind. And with this, we're going to start by modeling this in Revit. And so I'm going to do something a little bit unique here that I haven't done before. If you haven't checked out our template file that we have for sale, go do check that out. So I'm going to go over here, and instead of going to browse, and typically we go to browse and we want to browse and find the default project. So if you don't have my template file, you're certainly welcome to utilize this. But I'm going to open up my my template file here. So I'm just going to pull this on the other screen for a second and open up my template file here. And so just a reminder, when you're using a template file, you always want to go to File, New, to open up that template file and browse to that template file. Because when you go to File, Open, you're actually opening up the template file. And that is good, but it's only good if that's what you want to work on. So let's go ahead and open this up. And you can see that at the top, our template file will actually just say project 1. And so that's another trick to know if you're working on a template file or in a project file. And so up here, once it finishes converting this from 2022 to 2025, it will say project 1 there. Or if I opened it directly, it would say the name of the actual template file. So again, it's showing project 1 up here while that's loading. And in this template file, I do have this building here. So let me just go ahead and just select it all and click delete, and we'll start from scratch. And so let's go to our site plan file here, and you can notice that I've updated the organization here. So we have our site plan as its own kind of section here. So let's open up that site plan, and we're going to start off by drawing this file. And so I have this file here, and what I typically want to do is do all of the property lines by bearings distances. And let's actually just rotate this. I think that's the key there, counterclockwise. I'm just going to save this rotated, and that just makes it a little bit easier to understand the orientation. So we have our first property line here, 18.7 meters at 72:35 degree, or 72 degrees 35 minutes 10 seconds northeast. And so let's go ahead and start to draw that. So let's open up our Revit here. We're going to go to our massing and site, and we are going to click property lines. We're going to do it by entering bearings and distances. And so our first one again is 18.7 meters. And so I'm working in feet right now, but as soon as I type in meters, it's going to automatically do that conversion for us. And let's put in our bearing. So our bearing is 72. Again, a little tip, we can use the space key to differentiate the degrees, minutes, seconds. 72, 35, 10, and it already is northeast. And so I'm just going to click OK, and we're going to place our first line here. And so in my template file, I have this kind of T set up with reference planes. But one thing that I always recommend for beginners is making sure you always work around this project base point. It's just, that's the center of Revit. And so we want to stay organized and continue to work around that project base point. So I have that there. So let's go back and let's turn off reveal. And we have our first property line here. Let's go back to edit the table. And let's find our next line. So our next line is probably this long line. So we have 81.29. We have 17.12.0. And I'm not memorizing these numbers. I have this open on another screen. So if you're wondering how I'm memorizing this, I'm not. So it's always good to have a second screen to do that with. And so here we have 17 space 12 and then, 117. And so this one is northwest, and this is a little bit confusing because we want to understand what direction our building is going in, our property is going in. And so north is, and I'm just going to draw this in Revit just to give us a little bit of an orientation. So north is kind of going in that direction. And so this looks like it's definitely off based on this. And so the reason why is typically a survey thinks as every line in a silo, whereas a Revit does them in conjunction to the previous line. And so what we want to do is we want to edit this table, and we're going to go to southwest, and we're just going to flip both of those orientations. And we're going to do the same with this one. South, this one was south, northeast, so it'd be northwest, so it'd be southeast. And let's flip those, and you know what, that's still not working, right? And so I'm thinking that this first line is proper, so northeast, and let's just check that. I think we might just need to draw a few more lines. So I think that's, might have been actually fine before. Let's draw a few more lines, and let's see what happens here, and we can kind of figure out the overall look of it. So on our bottom here, in our bottom we actually have a few segments. We have 1260, 3312, 60.69, and it looks like it does change orientation there. So let's start with the first one, 1260, 72,720, 2720. So I'm going to do all these off my other screen here quickly. So we have 12.6 meters, and we have 72, 27, 20. And let's do the next one. Next one is 33.12, and hit meters in again. And we have 72, 28, 20. So it's pretty close to the same line, but it looks like it does jog a little bit. And our next one is 60.96 meters. And we have 72.34.00. And let's just click OK, and let's just see where we're going here. So it does kind of look like this is going the wrong direction. So let's just continue going here. So I think that should be the last line. And it looks like now we're going up here. And so our first one is going to be 123, I think. Let's see if there's another one down here. Doesn't look like there's. So we've got 123.20. So let's do another one. 123.20, 21 actually, sorry, 123.21 meters. And we're going to set this up 12.26.50. Looks like there's one more after. Looks like this goes all the way up to here, and then there's one more after coming down. And I don't know what it goes to, but we will place that on here. So it looks like this is a kind of a combination of a few lots, and it's pretty typical when you have projects like this. You might have a bunch of segments and lots joined together. 45 meters, 25, 45 meters, and then we have 17, 12, like that. And this one would be northwest. This one would be, this top one here is east. Yeah, okay. So let's just pause for 1 second here. And so sometimes it doesn't happen too often, but sometimes you might find the north arrow is wrong, and that's what I'm kind of thinking is the case here. So let's just type this in Google Maps. Just open this up on another window here. And let's just type in Google Maps here. And that is the right site. And so it looks like north is actually straight up. And so I think north might be the opposite direction here. So let's click our rotate. Let's rotate counterclockwise. Let's just check that. So I think that's actually north, roughly. Yeah, so north is a different direction. So I think that's why we're kind of getting a little bit confused here. So let's start by just doing a few of these backwards. So southwest, southeast. Generally, when you go around the bottom, you want to keep them in negative. Okay, let's just put these back to normal. North, east. So let's see. Okay, so we have this line here, and if you really do get confused, the other thing we can do is let's bring in our PDF file, and I often we are giving you a CAD for this, but I often find just using the PDF to do some of this sometimes is better, because especially with the property lines, you want to draw your property lines from bearings and distances always. And so I always like to not bring in the CAD file right away. I will bring it in to do some other things, but at least to get started with this. Let's enable snaps. Let's scale this. So we're going to grab our first line here, which should go to here. And that should be 18.7 meters. And so this is our first line. So let's move this line up to here. And let's rotate this. So again, sometimes there's a few different steps. The first step being kind of working through all those property lines, but then the second often is getting this in the right orientation. So it looks like that is the right north arrow. I think just we were confused. So looks like this just needs to be, the second number needs to be reversed. So let's go southeast. And I think the third number needs to be reversed. So this will be southwest. So again, when you reverse a line, you switch both. Well, maybe I don't need to reverse the third one. North. Oh, I see what I got to reverse all of them. So I got to reverse south, west, south, west, south, west, and that should get it to go back the other direction. So that's what that looks like now. So it looks like it's going in the right direction. And this last line, we do need to reverse that as well. And so this one will go south, east. And so it looks like we have our property line working out nicely there. And I didn't see this other short one here before, so we have this. We have our 72, oh no, that's the wrong one, 4.15 meters. And we have our 72, 34, 30. And this one is northeast. So that should line up perfectly with that. And it doesn't look like we are given a circular number for this last piece of the survey, which is fine. We can ignore that part for now, or if you want to do it, let's go to new property line, and we're going to do this one by sketching. And so this is a little bit backwards, but sometimes I find what you need to do is manually create this last one. Why they didn't give this a circular number, but the circular stuff looks a little bit weird here. So let's just click our check mark here. And we're going to go to Insert, Load Autodesk Family, and we're going to find our property line tag. So let's switch our globe to be United States Imperial. Let's type in property line tag. And so we have a property line tag here. We have this radius one, which we'll actually need for this. So let's bring in both. And we can overwrite if we don't have those in here, overwrite. And so let's go to tag, and we're just going to tag this bottom one here. And it's just going to give us this normal line tag. But if we change this to be our radius tag, it'll then give us our property parameters for that. So let's click this, we'll click edit table, and let's add our radius in here. So let's click insert, and we can change this from a line to be an arc. And in the arc, we'll have the radius and the distance. So the length is 75.02, and that's just in feet. And then our radius will be 49.92. And it doesn't give us the actual direction. So let's just go back to here and let's just change this back. I don't know why this is not giving us a direction, and it's obviously doesn't like that I'm doing that now. I don't know why it's giving me grief for clicking that. Let me pause that first. Click save, and that will certainly help you out. We're going to just edit this table on this last one. So I've changed that to be degrees, minutes, seconds. And so I just need to add 72, 35, 54 in here. And let's click OK and see if that goes in the right direction. And it looks like it does. So let's just pull this away. And let's grab our symbol in there. And so that's our site. There's a few things more we want to do with this site, but I think the biggest thing is getting the property lines in, and you can start to then really work with the rest of this. The next thing that we're going to be doing in the next video is going over setting up topography and modeling all these different points. And then we'll also model some site features like the fence and the curb in.